Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Yevamot page 44, which discusses a tragic situation where there are actually 6 brothers. 4 of these brothers are married, and they all die. The 4 brothers die, and then there are 2 brothers left, a younger one and an older one. So on this, the Talmud tells us that the older one should do, if he wants, Yibum or Chalitza, with each of the 4, because of the women coming from 4 different brothers, so the obligation of Yibum or Chalitza applies to each one. On this, the Talmud wonders, perhaps that's not such a great idea, because having 4 wives could be extremely expensive, and you will not be able to properly sustain them. And on this, the Talmud says, you're absolutely right. But if we're talking about a very wealthy, affluent individual that has the capacity to be able to pay for and take care of these 4 women, then and only then Yibum should be done. Otherwise, he should consider doing Chalitza. But on this, the Talmud tells us 2 other very fascinating things. First of all, the reason why the Talmud chooses 4 wives and not more of them is because in those days, someone who was considered to be scholarly would have marital relations once a week on Friday night. And therefore, because of that, and assuming there's 4 Friday nights a month, this will at least allow that there will be an intimate relationship at least once a month with each of his wives. However, if a person would choose to have more than this amount of wives, there could be a lack of intimacy between them, and therefore that is discouraged to have more than that many wives if, again, one is not able to have this level of intimacy with them for an extended period of time. It's also interesting, the Talmud tells us that we discourage this man, that if, for example, he is very old, and the women that fell to him are much younger. So in this we say that, what are you doing? Malacha etzel yalda. What are you doing having any interest being with a woman who is so much younger than you? Klach etzel shekamoscha. Better you should go toward women who are in your age range. And then it says something unbelievable. Do not cause fighting and quarreling in your home. And of course, this is not in all circumstances, but the Talmud is alluding to the fact that if you marry someone who is in a completely different generation, grew up in a completely different time, and therefore perhaps has a different approach to life, different upbringing, just based on the totally different generation and decades that they were from, in that situation, it's going to be harder for you to be able to live a peaceful and harmonious marriage. And therefore, they suggest that when it comes to this situation, but also in general, that a person should be mindful of who they marry, that it should be someone who is within the same age range of themselves, which will minimize quarreling, as they'll have more in common with one another.